Hello everyone, welcome back to the SMITE Comprehensive Guide to Support. This is Aries. Now, Aries is rather unusual for the simple fact that he can build tank and still deal surprisingly large amounts of damage at the same time. It's a very interesting experience, let me tell you that much. But there's a very specific way you have to go about it, and you have to also remember that getting kills is not your primary purpose. In fact, you only really should be okay with getting kills in the early game, which is also incidentally where you're going to get most of these anywho. And just really try to control yourself. Now, splashing in a little bit of damage as Aries is fine. There are some ways of doing this and staying very tanky, and I will talk about some of those ways. But first off, we gotta go for Sentinel's Gift. This is very, very important. Specifically, Sentinel's Gift. Um, you don't want War Flag because this isn't. This is a passive, but this is an aura. This is not an aura. It does not give you auras. You want Sentinel's Gift. I don't care what your team composition is. You really want Sentinel's Gift. Now you're gonna go for Blink Rune right here. And then your next move is going to be, very specifically, obviously, I don't know why it's not in this. We slap this in here, we grab some healing potions, and we grab Hog. Now, something else that I want to point out, whenever you're playing support Aries, you always, always, always get Sentinel's Gift. If you have an auto-attack heavy team composition, which I don't happen to have here, but if you do, you're going to be providing for them with the glorious... That does not count as an aura. I can never remember that for some reason. You're going to be providing for them with Shogun's Kusari. You're not going to do it with War Flag. You don't need to do it with War Flag. War Flag is nice and all, don't get me wrong, but on Aries, just the benefits of Sentinel's Embrace, you can't beat it. But I don't care what role you're playing Aries as, whether it's support or anything else. You get Searing Flesh first. It is how you deal with jungle camps if you're playing jungle Aries. It is how you deal with the wave if you're a support Aries. It is how you deal with absolutely everything in life. Period. There is no in between here. There is no difference. You just get Searing Flesh every time. I don't care. If anybody tells you to get something else, don't listen to them. They're lying to you. They have clearly never played Aries before. Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but you really, really want Searing Flesh. You want to try and splash some damage in. Typically, it's easiest to just give the enemy support a little poke there. We're going to go ahead and maintain that. We're going to use a health potion here. We're going to go ahead and clear these really quick. It doesn't really matter who clears them as long as they get cleared. Okay, grab your chains second every time. Chain the enemy ADC. If you have a problem timing that to maximize the damage, do an auto attack. That's a pretty good indication. Here's another health potion here. We're going to go get some damage down on these two. Dodge that. Very nice. I kind of anticipated that was going to be a possibility there. I was actually expecting him to get the root because they are behind. I'm a little surprised he went for the abduct so early, but I respect it. I respect it. Now we're going to back up here. And we are just going to chain the AMC. We are going to shoot through the minions if possible. We even got the Kepri in there, which is really nice. We're going to get some damage on here. We're going to go ahead and use a health potion. Please, thank you. Alright, oh, he wants to go for this one first. Alright, we're going to go this way just so we can break this as well. And we are just going to go ahead and tank this. And it's going to be magical. Ah, good dodge, good dodge. We're just going to go ahead and use another health potion here. Our allies are doing well in other places, which I love to see. I like that. That's good. We're going to go on ahead and try to steal there something. I don't know why he bothered putting that right next to me. That was a mistake. We're just going to take this. I don't want to go for their purple right now. This would be a little too intensive, I think. Alright. I just didn't want to get abducted. I missed that second one, but that's fine. Get some damage on here. Now, you'll notice I'm actually kind of focusing on the enemy support here. It's because Searing Flesh's secondary damage is based on the percentage of their health. I believe it's their max health, but it could be their current max health. It is max health. So it tends to do more damage to the enemy support than the enemy ADC. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't use it on the ADC, but if you are looking to do something with Searing Flesh, you are going to prioritize the enemy support, which also really helps keep the enemy support on low enough health where they can't really do their job as effectively. So there is that side benefit as well. I just completely whiffed that chain. Now, despite the fact that Searing Flesh is always the first ability you level, it should not be the first when you get to rank 5. There are a couple of really important reasons for this. First off, the chains actually do more flat damage, so that is just more significant. Second off, Searing Flesh, yes, it does do more percentage of health damage as you level it up, but because it is percentage of max health, it also does more damage as the game goes on anyways. So from a supporting perspective, you really don't want to level up Searing Flesh past rank 1 until the other two abilities are maxed first. You do specifically want the chains increased, just because you do want to actually bring that in here, make that a little scary for everyone involved. Come on. You got this, Thor. No, you don't. But that's okay. Again, we're not necessarily... killing them isn't necessary on a... Oh, that was beautiful. You don't need to necessarily kill an enemy for that to be an effective gank. Just forcing them back is often good enough. Oh, hold on. We're going to have a problem here if I don't back smarter. I'm actually going to stick around this one last wave because I want to get the gold from this. And we're about to trip split with Thor for some unholy reason. He really doesn't need to be hanging around here that long. And now we're just going to go back. Now, I want to accomplish several specific things with this. I want to, first off, obviously grab Gauntlet of Thebes. That's the first thing. The second thing is, now that Oleron is ahead, and he is ahead, not by much. I think it's only half a level if I had to take a guess. Let's actually do a gold comparison here. It's very slightly above. It's like 100 gold, so it's going to be like not even a quarter of a level, but he is very slightly ahead. I want to force Kepri into mid. I want him here. I want Oleron to be able to 1v1 the AMC, and I would love for that to happen as quickly as possible. So I need to create a presence here in mid. Also, Alposh is just really easy to spook with Aries because he has 0 escape. You'll notice the AMC treated me with equal amounts of respect as well. Now that I've been seen here, and now that I see Nemesis lurking around in left jungle, good. Alright, increase those chains. Alright. So, Aries is one of the extremely few Guardians I actively increase damage on. Why is this, you may wonder? Well, very specifically because, in all honesty, he, like I said, he can actually roll that into a decent amount of damage for the mid-game, which can give you a really interesting edge, and it's not something a lot of enemies expect, besides the fact he just straight up... Do you have beads? You don't. I'm actually rushing this right here because first off, that was the fastest way I could get the hell out of that. Second off, what the hell happened in right lane? What? How did Kepri kill? Did Thor overextend? We're actually going to go over there to the left lane and see if we can gank the Ymir here. Alright, I guess I'll just convert that to damage. Whatever. Not an ideal outcome. I would have preferred her to get that kill, but it's better for me to get the kill than for nothing to be accomplished with it. So I'm going to go ahead and gank right lane at this point. Right now, AMC is pushed up mid lane, so I don't really need to be there. Neither does he, to be honest. Kepri has no mana, so I'm just going to poke him a little bit here. I'm not actually intending to kill him or do much more than this. I just want to force him back. Now, what I'm actually going to do is gank AMC here, because Oleron is not at full, and we just want to spook AMC a little bit here. I'll just completely whip that instead, though. Alright. And now we have this whole fiasco going on over there. Actually, it would at this point be faster for me to go back, grab something else. We're going to go on ahead, grab this. We're going to go for a bit of a damage move here. And the reason why I'm going for a damage move is for a bit of an odd reason. Why am I going with this damage support Aries? And it's a very specific build. I'm going to go through the details of it later. But why? Namely because 3 of the enemy have 0 escape. Posh has no escape. AMC has no escape. Ymir has no escape. I don't even need my chains to latch onto these people, stick with them, and do a substantial amount of damage. And to that end, I want to capitalize on that and do as much damage as possible. Now, there's a couple of ways I can go about doing this. And I'm really still not going to be building much in the way of actual pure damage items. I don't know why you're bothering with this Kepri. Kepri, what are you doing, guy? I'm just going to use you as a ticket to get to Posh here. Who also somehow does not have beads. What the hell is it with this team not having beads? Excuse me? Hello? Why are we diving so hard on this? Great that Olorin killed the enemy ADC over there, though. That's fantastic. I'm confused why nobody on their team has beads, though. It's weird. I'm going to go and gank this Ymir really quick. Because I don't think Thor has enough to gank this. Oh, he does. No, I'm impressed. I underestimated the Thor. I'll admit that pretty freely. Alright, we stole some of their jungle. We're in a really good position right now as a team across the board, honestly. There's AMC. That's not AMC. That's not Posh. The hell am I talking about? We're going to go over here and start this up. I think he's looking at this too. We're just going to go on ahead and clear this. No, Kepri. No, Kepri. No, I'm not chasing that. There's nothing to chase for. There's nothing we get out of that. I'm going to go over here and gank this, though, because Olorin's not in a great position. Okay, so just... Alright, that's weird. I completely whiffed that. You are stuck. That was not good for you at all. Please tell me you're going to abduct me. No? Okay. We're just going to back up then. I'm hoping they come out of that. I would like to blink in on AMC. Here we go. Do you have beads? You do, but Kepri does not. Kepri, I understand not having beads. He's a support. He really technically shouldn't have beads. So I can understand that. That's fine. I've done enough damage here. They don't really need me here anymore, honestly, I don't think. I'd like to clear his purple buff with him, but I don't think he's really interested in doing that right now. I'm going to go ahead and gank him mid here because there's something going on over here. I don't know what the hell this is, but... Yeah. Alright, so that's... We need to take out Posh. Because they killed the mid lane, we need to kill their mid lane. Oh, whoop, that was not the move, Nike. That was not the move. Now, we're increasing the field next because that's going to increase the HP regeneration, the HP 5 it generates. It's going to increase the cooldown, the crowd control reduction, excuse me, which we want. It's going to increase the protection benefits for our allies, which we also want. Just dive it, just dive it. Okay, never mind. Get the hell out of dodge. Alright, see ya. I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of Nemesis, though. Get out of here. Run. No, we don't want this. I'm not afraid of you, Ymir. But that Nemesis, she scares me. Okay, so we're going to grab Void Stone, and then our very next move is going to be Mystical Nail. Again, this is partially because we just straight up can just stick to people, like, no problem. After this, our very next thing we're going to be getting is going to very likely be Pestilence. No. Pridwin. Pridwin's going to be the move here. Very specifically. Alright. Let's see what we can do with Oposh here. Oh, wait. Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. That was the absolute spiciest dodge on planet Earth. Good, good. We gotta lock down Nemesis really quick here. Got her. Okay, good. She's dead. We're just gonna go ahead and literally absorb the bodies from Oposh by running straight into them. I'll just tank it. Never mind, we have minions. But healed me. Don't tell me my protection buff that gives HP 5, that counts as healing now. That would be kind of stupid because that's HP 5 increase. It's not even regular healing. Okay. This just happened. Alright, well I got 2 of the 3. Go ahead and boost people's protections here. Okay, we're okay. We're alright. We're gonna save the blink. I don't think this is the time. We just get slowed for 12 years. This is fine. No, we can kill him here. Freeze me. Or completely whiff. That works too, I guess. My allies are gonna... Ah, here we go. I was gonna say, they're gonna come in and save me. Absolutely. Save up for the chain. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make this if I do. So we're just gonna use this to keep my allies alive. We need to get out of here. This is no longer a good fight for us. We really don't need to be here anymore. And yet somehow... Okay, I don't mind if I die. That's fine. Really weird fight. We stayed way too long in that fight, but... Wow, they're still committing to... Oh my goodness, and he got it somehow. I mean, nice job, but what the hell? And he's still alive. And his portrait was even grayed out. That's how dead he should have been. Oh, I can't believe it. That was absolutely fantastic. Now, at this particular point, what do we want? Oh, that's not even a question. Horrific emblem. What am I talking about? My goodness, that wasn't even a question. What the hell is wrong with me? Alright, so... At this point, where the hell am I going to go? Who needs me? Oh, well, she's dead, so she doesn't need me anymore. I probably should go over there and try to cover that. I need to warn Oloran. No one's going over there. Now, I don't mind siphoning off of Thor here because he's at pace with Nemesis. Slightly ahead. But roughly, he's at pace with Nemesis. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and push up left here. I think if I push up left... I don't think Amir is going to come back here quickly. If I have Thor here, he's not even paying any attention to this. So that's another story entirely. Okay. I'm just literally just going to go in there and tank this. I don't even care. Just take it. And now we need to kill him. Now, again, notice I'm not increasing my ult. I don't need my ult for the damage. I want to be increasing my searing flesh at this point. I saw Oposh there. No. Oposh is here. Let's back it up slightly. Okay, we have... Oh, shoot. He went wicked deep in there. Let's... Shoot. That's fine. Okay. Alright. Meanwhile, Thor is killing just Oposh in the background. As you do. This is a good res. Oh, you're just dead. You're just straight up dead. Now you have beads. What took you so long? What? I can tank. We have minions. Okay. Here, now I'm tanking. Alright, I guess the minions died. That's fine. I'm gonna die for this. That is fine. You know, Kepri killed me, and I'm okay with that. Now we're going to grab Mystical Mail. Now, at this particular point in time, we need Pridwin for very, very specifically the cooldowns. That's what we need this for. Now, this is going to get into a fairly complicated situation, because after this, what are we going to do? Well, we have a lot of interesting options, basically. A lot of people would say, Gem of Isolation, Professor. No, we really don't need that. Not only do we have just the slow on the chain, but after we use our ult, the enemy doesn't actually... the enemy's stunned. By the time they get unstunned, the effects of Gem of Isolation have already worn off. So, Gem of Isolation isn't as useful on Aries as a lot of people think. Yes, it makes people slowed down by your chains. Yes, it makes their fires slow enemies down. And that's it. And honestly, the chains are powerful enough where you really don't need all of that nonsense, to be completely honest. It just isn't that necessary for Aries. It really isn't. Resist the urge. There are way better things you can be building. For example, you could build Spear the Magus, increasing all of the damage enemies are taking anytime they've been chained, blazed, or ulted. That's really effective. As one example, Divine Ruin for extra anti-healing is another really great example. Fantastic little item there. You could absolutely do that, right? There are all kinds of really interesting things you can do here. In general, I actually might sell Voidstone, though. I think this isn't the move. I don't think we have enough magic damage on the team to make that worth it. I shouldn't be here. I'm just gonna leave. I'm dead. We're gonna... Okay. Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit more magic protections than what we've got. I also want anti-healing here. No, I don't. What am I talking about? They don't have... I mean, AMC has a passive self-heal. But unless somebody's building mad amounts of lifesteal, it's... They're not. Yeah, I don't need anti-heal. Yeah, we're fine with Pridwin here. After Pridwin, we are going to want to very carefully consider what our next move is. I am leaning more towards Spear the Magus, personally. Just because, again, that is going to allow my allies to do a lot more damage. It's going to allow me to do a lot more damage. Fairly effective in that regard. It's not an aura, no, but it does give quite a substantial boost to all of our allies' damage. I don't think Olorin has it. No, he doesn't. So I think it would just be a really useful item for my teammates to have available to them. Now, I'm not joining them at the Gold Fury because they frankly don't really need me there. See? They already took care of the problem. The enemy was not in a position to really interfere with that. So that was fine. That was completely fine. They didn't need me there at all. You have to kind of quantify that. That's why I just stopped for the green buff. Now, how did I know that the enemy wasn't in a position to do anything about that? Well, half of them had just died, literally. So they weren't going to really be trying to press their luck with that. Oposh just came back from respawning. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. I just knew that they, considering that they'd just gotten out of an ugly team fight that we'd won, they weren't in any position to try to make anything of that Gold Fury attempt. We're going to go for the Pyromancer. Now, this I'm a little more worried about. There is the potential that they could try something here. I'm actually going to throw a ward there. Alright, we're fine. We are completely fine. I was worried for absolutely nothing. But it was the possibility that they could have interrupted. That did exist, where it didn't exist for the Gold Fury because they just gotten slapped. She's just dead. Okay. Let's get out of here. Oh, nice job, Thor. That was absolute capital. Good, I got that aura off first. Alright, I got that kill. I guess it's fine. Oh, here we go. Alright, let's commit to this then, huh? Here's Kepri. I'll tank this. I will die for this. That's completely fine. There I go. Please take the AMC. Okay, good. So that's me for 4 of them. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. That is a fantastic... Oh, 5. Absolutely perfect. We love that. That is a good fight for a support. That's what we want to be seeing here. Grab Spear the Magus, but honestly, I think the game is won at this point. No, it's tough to tell. It's tough to say. Yeah, we win right here. Right here and now. Hands down, easy, no problem. GG. GG. Alright, so Aries, as I mentioned before, is very interesting to build. I went with the quote-unquote tank damage Aries, right? And that last team fight was absolute textbook for what you want as a support. Yes, I died. But in exchange, my allies were able to take the Phoenix, all 5 of the enemy, and win the game. That was easily a worthwhile sacrifice. Alright, now, we're not really going to talk about Kepri too much. I know I like to talk about my opposite on the enemy team, but in this particular case, his build was good for his team composition. There's nothing wrong with his build. He didn't do anything particularly wrong. He missed a couple of abducts. Everyone does it. That's fine. It was just a bad matchup. Kepri plays very poorly against Aries because I can prevent him from using abduct or cancel his abduct, whichever, happens first, the abduct or the chain, which really kills a lot of Kepri's potential to impact a fight. So I'm really not going to talk about Kepri because it was just a bad matchup here. It's not really his fault. He didn't know I was going to be Aries. That's just how that goes. So we're going to, other than acknowledging that his build was fine and that he played fine, we're not really going to talk about Kepri. So now, again, we went with the classic opening of supports. We went with Sentinel's Gift. We went with Gauntlet of Thebes. Classic. Now, I went with Voidstone here. Now, I was willing to sell Voidstone for Pestilence when I was having a brain fart and thought I needed Pestilence. Upon double checking, I didn't, because only AMC was doing any form of self-heal. Nemesis had a little bit of lifesteal with Serrated Edge, but that's not nearly enough lifesteal, and even combined with Pythagorean's Piece, it wasn't going to be enough lifesteal to justify Pestilence in this particular scenario. So that was fine. But I was willing to sell it because the enemy team wasn't generally tanky enough, mostly. Actually, no, let me stand corrected. It was. Nemesis tends to steal protections from enemies, so Voidstone would have really helped if she'd ulted anyone in any of these fights. Kepri obviously was building protections, and so was Ymir, so this actually was pulling its weight here, generally overall. I forgot about Nemesis for some bizarre reason. I thought she was someone else for a second there. But yes, this was actually... I still would have been willing to sell it because at the end of the day, only Olrin and I were doing magic damage. So there were only 2 sources of magic damage, so it wasn't a necessity to pick this up. A equally viable pick would have, again, if they had enough self-healing, Pestilence would have been a good option. Another good potential option would have been Dingy's Guard for cooldowns. That would have been a perfectly acceptable magic protection option in this team composition. I went with Voidstone very specifically because 1, we were ahead, and 2, I wanted to do that kind of hybrid Aries build to show you what it looks like. It does take a little while to get online because I built Voidstone first because they had 3 sources of magic damage. They had Ymir, Kepri, and Opwash. In a normal situation where their solo lane is a physical rather than a magical, you would actually start with Mystical Mail first, then get Voidstone. So I reversed the order specifically due to them having a magic solo laner in Ymir. But normally, just keep in mind that normally with a 3 physical, 2 magic comp, you would be going for that Mystical Mail first instead. But other than that, just the order would be different. Mystical Mail, of course, for the aura and the physical protections. Now, I went with Pridwin very specifically for the cooldown. Also, it's really easy to lock down multiple targets and get that Pridwin shield explosion to hit multiple enemies very easily with Ares ult. I don't always necessarily advocate for Pridwin with every Guardian. I know a lot of people build it, but there are just some Guardians that really make it useful, and Ares is one of them. I don't like it on Kepri. I understand why Kepri built Pridwin in this particular context. It's 60 total protections, it's 20% cooldown reduction. It is a health shield. Yes, it explodes, but Kepri probably built it for the health shield benefits, not the explosion. In Ares' case, I actually need it for 2 things. In Ares' case, 1, the health shield is going to help keep him alive after he ults. This is something that not a lot of Aries players talk about, but after you ult with Aries, it's not that unusual for Aries to die if his team isn't right there and ready. Right? If you are jumping the gun a little bit just to line up the enemy, which is typically how I like to play Aries, because I'm a bit more aggressive than probably I should be, then you stand a chance of dying if your allies aren't right there. Okay? Pridwin helps with this, because once you're done with your ult and the enemy is while the enemy is still stunned, you have this nice health shield going around, and this buys you a couple of extra seconds of survival. After your ult is done, the enemy gets unstunned, and your allies aren't quite there yet. Now, in this particular situation, I really didn't need to worry about that too much. I had Thor to really back me up when I needed him to, and he was right there picking up what I was laying down most of the time, even when I wasn't expecting him to, which was really fantastic. Olorun's ult also is particularly useful with Aries. I actually ulted. He anticipated my ult once, and then the second time I ulted people in his ult. Olorun and Aries is an unusually good combination that is slept on, but we're going to pass over that for now. But in this particular team composition, it worked out, but this isn't going to work out for every team composition, so Pridwin's passive health shield really does help you survive a lot of these unfortunately early ults that you may have. And again, just to reiterate, while they're stunned, you go on ahead and chain 3 of them, and you've got them locked down for some beautiful Pridwin damage, which is really fantastic. Now, if you actually utilize your protection boost right beforehand, you actually can eke out slightly more, because this is 90% of your protections from items and abilities, which is something a lot of people forget about. But you actually get like 35 of each protection from Ares' self buff. I cannot for the life of me remember what it... Bolster defenses is what it's called. But you get, I think, 35 of each protection, which totals up to 70, which is a decent amount of extra damage to put in there, especially if the enemy is squishier and you've already got Voidstone on. It's a decent amount of damage increase there. So just keep that in mind if you do build Pridwin and you're trying to use that passive to deal some damage post-ult. It is very useful in that particular regard. So just kind of keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head there. Finally, I was going to use Spear the Magus here. Spear the Magus is going to be the particular choice because the enemy was a little tankier. Edimir, obviously he's a little tankier than a warrior. Nemesis is a little tankier than a lot of her contemporaries in the form of just being able to steal protections. Kepri is, of course, a support. We would have been able to do just a little bit more damage to these targets with the benefit of Spirit the Magus. Also, I was having a little bit of trouble surviving, so the lifesteal from that would have been really nice as well. Another option, and one that I almost went for, and retrospectively probably should have gone for, is Soul Eater. Works really well with the flames, works really well with the chains, even though, and I'm actually going to go into Aries here really quick and talk about this, because I actually don't think I don't have this in here. Something that isn't really talked about a lot with Soul Reaver on Aries. People build it on Aries and they recommend it on Aries, but they don't really talk about the actual impact of Soul Reaver on Aries. Alright, your abilities deal an additional 2% of the target's maximum health as magic damage. Yay. We're going to just pretend it's just 2% flat across the board. This effect reaches a maximum 9% health. Yay. Subsequent hits do half the bonus damage, so 1%. Alright, Searing Flesh is already doing 3% per second. Your first Soul Reaver Searing Flesh is doing 5%, and then it scales down to 4% per hit. The chains are basically acting as a miniature Searing Flesh each second while you have Soul Reaver. I just bit my tongue somehow with that. So you're doing 2% on the first chain hit, and then 1% every chain damage afterwards, plus the flat damage they already have. This racks up to an absolutely incredible amount of damage. Pardon me very much. This racks up to an incredible amount of damage, even if you assume the lowest minimum of 2% additional. Okay? A lot of people are building health. A lot of mages are building health these days. You see a lot of people building Warlock's staff. You see a lot of Guardians emphasizing health a lot of the time. With the exception of Pridwin, a lot of the most popular support items increase health. You have a lot of assassins increasing their health, particularly assassins like Ratatoskir and Rivan. Soul Reaver slaps on Aries, okay? This is substantially more damaging than a lot of people recognize. They recognize, oh yeah, this is doing some good damage here. They don't really understand mathematically how much this is really racking up to. I want you to understand. Let's take a quick look at Aries abilities. All right, I don't know why I didn't bother just locking this in here. There we go. All right, let's look at Shackles. Now this is a 4-second duration, and it's doing damage each second. So this is hitting for 4 times. 2%, 1%, 1%, 1%. This is 7% of their total health. This can either be spread out to 3 different targets, or you can do them all on the same target, and granted, that doesn't necessarily... I mean, it's still, like, lots of damage. It's 21% of their health. Plus, you've got Searing Flesh, which, again, is actually hitting not for 4 times, it's hitting 8 times. So you're doing 3%, 8 times, 24%, plus 2% for the first tick. 26, and then for the additional 7 hits... you're doing 1%, so that's another 7%. So you're doing 30% of their damage with Searing Flesh, 21% of their damage with Shackles. And this is all just from percentage of health damage. This does not include the flat damage from Searing Flesh. This does not include the flat damage from Shackles. You are doing literally, roughly, 50%, I think it's specifically 51% of the enemy's maximum health with just Soul Reaver, assuming the minimum amount of damage of 2%, just with these 2 abilities on a single target. Okay? I want you to understand, again, minimum assumption, 2% for the first hit, 1% each hit afterwards. 51% of their max health, excluding flat damage. Any target. This increases if they're tankier, i.e. have more health. Yes, I think, hopefully, you understand the sheer volume of damage Aries can output with Soul Reaver. It wouldn't have mattered in that last match because it ended before I could have built Soul Reaver even. But I want you to understand that Aries absolutely dominates. Okay? He really hits hard. Now, keep in mind that Soul Reaver is more geared towards tankier comps. As impressive, as devastating as that sounds, in squishier comps, which we didn't have here, any comp that I just fought against would have been a tankier comp, would have been better for Soul Reaver. Squishier comps, with a squishier assassin in this particular case, they would have been better off, you would have been better off with Spear the Magus. Because that 7.5% increased damage not only affects you, but your allies as well, including the amount of max health you're doing here. So even though the enemies aren't going to have the kinds of max health that really causes your 3% damage to mean that much, combine that with the increased damage from Spear the Magus, and you're actually hitting squishier targets for substantially more than you would really think to do. Alright, so you really, when you're splashing damage onto Aries, as a support Aries, your last item should either be Spear the Magus for squishy comps, or Soul Reaver for tanky comps. If, for some unholy reason, you need anti-heal and did not build Pestilence or Contagion, you could also use Divine Ruin, because that's going to prevent them from healing for a very long time. You can really do a lot of sustained damage with Aries, and as a result, you can actually prevent any one target from healing anything close to substantially enough for a very long amount of time. I haven't done this in a while because healing hasn't really been so strong that I need to do this, but there have been a couple of seasons in the past where this has become a really powerful strategy to use on Aries. Think Vamon. Think Hercules. There was a time where their self-heal was almost impossible to stop. A Divine Ruin Aries was the bane of their existence in those seasons, and I'm sure that there's going to be seasons in the future where this will be true once again. And I want to mention it here for future reference, so that we have something, even in future seasons, this will at least remain somewhat relevant. But I want you to understand that Aries does not need to build damage to deal damage. He just needs Soul Reaver or Spear the Magus. And this guy can absolutely devastate most anyone he comes up against one-on-one, in all honesty. And again, bolster defense is just to double check. It's 40 protections. I was close. I said 35. It's actually 40, so that makes Pridwin slightly better. But nevertheless, absolutely incredible amount of potential on Aries. And I'm talking about a damage build here, or let me rephrase that, a tank damage build. There are other ways of building Aries. I've seen people play him in the jungle. I'm not as fond of that personally. He is, ever since they gave HP 5 bonus to bolster defenses, he's been really tough to stop in the solo lane, and I will do an episode on that at some point in the future. But he is absolutely incredible, and I will talk about other builds with him in the future, but I wanted to showcase this particular build because I actually had a good opportunity here because the enemy couldn't really get away from me. I could walk at them and hit puberty at the same time and still kill them. But anyways, with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.